All right, greetings. Welcome back to Blackburn News, where everything is connected and the viewers are smarter than the average bear. How's it going, y'all? Excuse me. Arge. Let me know if you can hear me. Sorry. Sound issues are always a thing. Um, but good to see y'all. We're live on YouTube, Rockfin, and on Twitter. What's up, Rockfin people? I see you. Got some people hanging out on Rockfin. That's great. You know how we do. Excuse me. My apologies. I should probably hit the mute button when I do that. It's discussion on global chat. Very good. Global dimming, kind of the same concept as geoengineering, right? Or solar radiation management, which we're doing. We're doing it anyways, right? These are the finer nuances of the concept that we're the things that we're doing to the planet having a cumulative effect. And I think that's a way more appropriate title than climate change or even global warming. The things that we're doing, the ways in which we're poisoning the earth, the things that we're doing, we'll stick with that. The things that we're doing are having a cumulative effect on the planet. Have had, past tense, because we're already seeing the effects of the cumulative, right? What we've done over decades and decades and decades. Now, after all those decades of pollution, resources in and lots of poisonous stuff out, crap out. That's the cumulative effect is what we're seeing now. Give me a second. All right. Salt Liquor says Fukushima tea with SARS chicken. Delicious. Delightful. What's up, people on Twitter? If you're watching on Twitter, you know what to do. You know what to do. You know what to do. Send me a chat or something. Tell me hi from Twitter. Did you already do that, Victory Jen? Justin McNeil says, end the genocide. Indeed. End the genocide, indeed. Gigabane says the social contract is broken. Absolutely. It's absolutely broken. All right. Well, let's get into a few things. I'm looking at some chats and whatnot. Whatever channel you're on, please like the video, please share the video, please, comment or whatever. If you get a chance. Please don't be afraid of the Twitter chats. I know it might be a little lonely in there, or might feel a little lonely, but if somebody chats and somebody else might chat, and then y'all might have a chat together. Woohoo! Whoopie-doo. All right. Let's get on with it. We're going to start out with a rain bomb. A rain bomb in China. Rain bombs. Every day a rain bomb. Okay. Um, let's see. Oh, you guys can't see this. Hardy har 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 har. Guangxi, China this afternoon, 60 to 80 millimeters of rainfall in 1 hour. And you get scenes like this. Too much rain in a short amount of time, you get scenes like this. What's causing the rain? Some say it's geoengineering. Others say it's geoengineering. And what some call geoengineering is the cumulative effect of all the things that we're doing, the cumulative effect it has on the planet. That's geoengineering. You see? If you're wondering what's going on here, it's hot. On a hotter planet, there's a lot more rainfall, right? The tropics become everywhere. If you really want to put it into very simple kindergarten kind of understanding. In the tropics where it rains all the time. It rains all the time. Why does it rain all the time? Because it's warm. We're just explaining it simply here for the people that might have, kind of a difficult time understanding it. It's warm. There's more evaporation. There's more water vapor in the air, right? The hydrological cycle is much more active in the tropics, which is what causes more rain this in the tropics. But when the entire earth is much warmer, then that tropical rain situation happens all the time, all over the place. That's, anyways. I did find the the tweet I was looking for yesterday. This is from Brazil. It's kind of a shocking, before and after of the flooding in Brazil. All right. Got a few more folks on Twitter. That's cool. Denver Attaway says some might say geoengineering plus termination shock. Sure. So absolutely, I believe that there's in geoengineering going on. It's called 100 years of civilization. Or think of it in this way: 100 years of 24 hours a day of exhaust coming out of ships, power plants, cars, planes. 24 hours a day, night and day, never ending, over and over, all the time, increasing, right? In the last 50, 60 years, increasing. More planes, more ships, more cars, more stuff, more people, more power plants, more factories, more. 24 hours a day, nonstop. That's called geoengineering. That is absolutely called geoengineering. Do I think the other kind of geoengineering is going on? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you can't be like, it's only one and not the other. But this is the main one. This is the big one. This is a much bigger one than a couple planes up in the sky doing some stuff. Really? Deline says, Kevin, did you know that the foods from Fukushima that China and Russia don't want imported are being fed to U.S. military stationed in Japan? Sounds about right. I didn't know that. That wouldn't surprise me. Let's see. And let's look. I wanted to look at this from Grist. People have been talking about this article. I saw this yesterday, and I was going to bring it to y'all yesterday, but I ran out of time. But it's kind of on topic, or absolutely on topic, not just kind of. Yes, Bella, absolutely. The pollution you can't see is killing you. The pollution you can see was helping, but they want the pollution invisible and deadly. Absolutely. And this is one of the, the points that I've said over and over. Probably annoyingly over and over. Is that it was way easier for people to understand when every city was a smog choked hellhole. It was really easy for people to go like, God dang, we got to clean up the environment. I am hating all this smog that I'm breathing in every day. Not to say that there still isn't smog, but there's a lot less of it. Why? Because we shipped all the factories to China, put some catalytic converters on the cars, made them, somewhat more efficient and less polluting, somewhat less polluting. And we cleaned up the air a little bit. And now nobody understands climate change because they can't see it or breathe it. But when you could see it and you could smell it and breathe it and it was all around you, oh, yeah, it was, a little harder to, this climate change, silly. We're not doing anything to the earth. It was harder to do it back then because it was like, Jesus Christ, my head hurts and my lungs hurt too. What's going on? Can somebody fix this? No, so they just cleaned it up a little bit. They didn't fix it. They just moved the factory somewhere else, to somewhere where you don't live. And now they breathe in all the pollution. And I'm sure if you went and asked those people about climate change or about polluting the earth to death, I'm sure they would be like, gee, yeah, this sucks. Yeah, if you externalize it, if you put it somewhere where you can't see, then it's easy to sit in your air-conditioned box and pontificate about how climate change isn't a thing. Like a really smart person. Yep. Or an even better one is, one I love is, sure, there's, plastic gyres in the ocean, and sure, we're polluting the shit out of everything. Sure, there's endocrine disruptors everywhere, and nanoplastics everywhere, and glyphosate everywhere, and contaminants everywhere, and forever chemicals. Sure, we're doing, but climate change is just stupid. Okay, tell me more. Tell me more. Explain, Sir Thunkalot. None of the world's top industries would be profitable if they paid for the natural capital they used. A sobering new study finds that the world's biggest industries burn through $7.3 trillion worth of free natural capital a year. And it's the only reason they turn a profit. Well, yeah. I can't tell. I mean, a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, they're trying to financialize nature," and I'm sure they are. I mean, every time I hear the phrase ecosystem services, I'm very annoyed. Ecosystem services, not something that the earth just provides for you. Like, hey, man, we're providing some ecosystem services. We decided the ecosystems, the price of the ecosystem services we're providing is going up next month. No, it's called nature, and we're destroying it. And if you destroy nature, then there's not going to be anything left to go around. Eventually, we're going to, poison too many lakes and too many rivers and too many oceans. I mean, it's kind of, already done, but eventually it'll get to the point where you can see, like, oh my God, we poisoned the lakes and the oceans and the rivers and melted all the glaciers, and oh my God, what do we call it? We got plant food or some such nonsense. Let me see. We pumped out, smoke out of smokestacks for 70, 80, 90, 100, 150 years in a row. Out of car exhausts for, decades upon decades, 24 hours a day, decades and decades and decades and decades and decades and decades and decades. And when the result of that starts happening, what do you call it? Plant food. Oh, I mean, everybody likes to live in a warmer climate. I actually heard somebody say something like that. I was like, dude. I believe that you are a smart person, dude, who said such things. But, on that point, okay. Oh, let's keep reading this. A sobering new study. Oh, we read this part. The notion of externalities has become familiar in environmental circles. It refers to costs imposed by businesses that are not paid for by those businesses. For instance, industrial processes can put pollutants in the air that increase public health costs. But the public, not the polluting businesses, picks up the tab. In this way, businesses privatize profits and publicize costs. While the notion is incredibly useful, especially in folding ecological concerns into economics, I've always had my reservations about it. Yes. Environmentalists these days love speaking in the language of economics. It makes them sound serious. But I worry that wrapping this notion in a bloodless technical term tends to have a narcotizing effect. It brings to mind incrementalism. Boost a few taxes here, tighten a regulation there, and the industrial juggernaut can keep right on chugging. Excuse me. However, if we take the idea seriously, not just as an accounting phenomenon, but as a deep description of current human practices, its implications are positively revolutionary. To see what I mean, check out a recent report done by environmental consultancy True Cost on behalf of the Economics of Ecosystems and Biodiversity program sponsored by United Nations Environmental Program. TEEB. The Economics of Ecosystems and Biodiversity. TEEB asked True Cost to tally up the total unpriced natural capital consumed by the world's top industrial sectors. Natural capital refers to ecological materials and services like, say, clean water or a stable atmosphere. Unpriced means that businesses don't pay to consume them. It's a huge task. Obviously, doing it required a specific methodology that built in a series of assumptions, plenty of details in the report, but it serves as an important signpost pointing the way to the truth about externalities. Here's how these costs break down. The majority of unpriced capital, natural capital costs are from greenhouse gas emissions, 38%, followed by water use, 25%, land use, 24%, air pollution, 7%, land and water pollution, 5%, and waste, 1%. So how much is that costing us? True cost headline results are fairly stunning. First, the total unpriced natural capital consumed by more than 1,000 global primary production and primary processing region sectors amounts to 7.3 trillion a year. Just a boggly number. 13% of 2009 global GDP. Really? 2009 global GDP was 100 trillion a year? Seems like a lot. This seems like a lot. But okay. A region sector is a particular industry in a particular region, say wheat farming in East Asia. Second, surprising no one, coal is the enemy of the human race. True Cost compiled rankings both of the top environmental impacts and the top industrial culprits. Here are the top 5 biggest environmental impacts in the region sectors responsible for them. Cattle ranching and farming in South America is pretty big. Impact ratio is 18.7. The biggest single environmental cost, here's the natural capital cost, is greenhouse gases, from coal burning in China. 361 billion. This is a year. That was 7.3 trillion a year. Greenhouse gases from coal burning in North America. This also shows what an unholy nightmare deforestation in South America is. So coal power generation in Northern America, quite big too. Wheat farming in Southern Asia, quite big. Iron and steel mills in Eastern Asia, quite big. Here are the top 5 industrial sectors ranked by total ecological damages imposed. Kind of the same thing. Mostly the same thing. But coal power generation in Northern America moves to 3rd place. It's coal again. This time North American coal is up at number 3. True Cost 3rd. Big finding is the coup de grace, or coup de grace. Of the top 20 region sectors ranked by environmental impacts, none would be profitable if environmental costs were fully integrated. Ponder that for a moment. None of the world's top industrial sectors would be profitable if they were paying their full freight. 0. That amounts to a global industrial system built on sleight of hand. As Paul Hawken likes to put it, we are stealing the future, selling it in the present, and calling it GDP. This gets back to what I was saying at the top. The notion of externalities is so technical, such an economist term, got a few unfortunate side effects. So we just move some numbers from column A to column B, right? But the UNEP report makes clear that what's going on today is more than a few accounting oversights here and there. The distance between today's industrial systems and truly sustainable industrial systems, which there are none, that is an oxymoron. Who put the moron in oxymoron? Systems that do not spend down stored natural capital but instead integrate into current energy and material flows is not one of a degree but one of kind. What's needed is not just better accounting, but a new global industrial system, a new way of providing for human well being, and fast. That means a revolution. Yeah. But they don't describe what that looks like. They don't, I mean, ooh, ew. They don't talk about what that looks like. They're just like, we did a new way of living. That's all. Okay. What is it? I mean, they don't want to get into the weeds. They don't, revolution is about as revolutionary as they're willing to, just the word revolution. We need a revolution. Well, what does that mean? Will somebody describe it for me ever in one of these godforsaken articles? These really hard-hitting articles? These really like, whoa, rocked my world articles? Yeah, no, they never do. Oh, you want me to describe it? I'll tell you. I'll describe it. It's called getting rid of corporations, period. Getting rid of consumer culture, period. It's called people generally growing their own food regionally, taking the material that we have already created, the trillions of tons of material that we've already created, and just making stuff out of that by hand. Very, very little machinery. Most planes being out of the sky. These are some of the things that we should or could do. Most shipping being stopped, halted, because we could actually grow things and make things and build things locally, regionally. We don't need to ship things all around the world. Just that could all come to a halt. Actually, should come to a halt. But again, if you say things like this, people really lose their minds. Oh, you said a revolution. I thought you meant like just change things the way we do things a little bit now and twist the dials a little. No. You got to turn it off. Turn it off. The whole thing. Turn it off. It's not that hard. It wouldn't be that hard. Actually, it'd be quite easy. It would just be stopping. Just stop doing what you're doing. Oh, what do we do? How will we live? You can grow some food. Get a bunch of people together. In your neighborhood. All the people in the blocks around where you live. Hey, we all have yards and gardens, or maybe we don't have yards and gardens, but there's a plot over there. We can all get together and grow food for ourselves. We can get some chickens or some goats and get some milk and some eggs. It's not that hard. Grow food for ourselves. If you have food, you really don't need anything else. Right? I mean, yeah, you need a roof over your head. Plenty of building material around. There's homes for all the homeless. There are office buildings and office spaces and empty homes that can house everybody on the planet. We don't need to build any. We're not in a shortage of anything ever, whatsoever. Anyways, et cetera, et cetera. Salt Laker says, I want a pony. You'd get rid of government before corporations? Oh, no, sir. Backwards. I'm disagreeing with you. I'm not telling you like, no, you're stupid. I'm just saying, I would absolutely, corporations gotta go. And if you could twist the government's arm, if you could be like, hey, we're the people and this is supposed to be our government. Hey, we want to get rid of these corporations. That would be the best way to do it. You get rid of the government and leave the corporations to just run amok across the planet? I don't understand how that works. I don't understand. Explain it to me. You love BlackRock. Okay. Corporations own the government. Yeah. No, corporations got to go. We got to, pull the charters and pull them all. I would say, first things first, try and find a way to obliterate the corporate entity, the entity we know as corporations. Absolutely. Got to go. Scourge of the earth. We also already have the internet. We also have technology that could keep us connected, communicating with each other. I know. They rely on technology to, it doesn't happen by magic, right? You need like cell towers and cable lines and all that stuff, right? I know that. I'm just saying we have technology that can keep us all connected and allow us to do a lot of things that we used to have to do by, getting on a horse or getting in a car or going across country, getting in a plane, going over, going on a ship. Like we can talk to people all around the planet. We don't need to go anywhere, We could make everything hyper locally. We could still have the internet and still communicate with each other. And, if we really, really wanted to travel, well, we do that on a bike or on foot, in a sailboat, stuff like that. But if you can get everybody growing their own food, man, that would be a big. I suspect that is one of the reasons why they're cracking down on food production, like localized small farmer food production. I imagine that's part of the intent. I know a lot of people feel like they're disguising that as action on climate change. It's hard to know because the agricultural sector is absolutely destructive on so many levels. Again, if you can get everybody growing, food hyper locally in an organic way, in an organic, very local way, if everybody had a garden in their yard, or if there was a local community garden, everybody could share. Right? You could totally do it. I get it. Salt lickers. I'm just fucking with you. I know you know. I know you know the deal. Anyways, so I just described some of the ways that we could actually have a real revolution. That's do with that what you will. There is a path. You don't have to rely on these articles to tell you like, wow, we really need to just change things really fast. End of article. What we need is a revolution. Wow, or carbon credits. Okay, end of article. They never really give you what the answer should be, or give you the roadmap. It's dereliction of duty. Writers of articles, thinkers of deep thoughts. Gregory Melnichuk said corporations were once illegal back in the 1930s, I think, when corporations were given the same rights as people. It was absolute stupidity. You're right. You know what else used to be illegal? Usury. The old interest. Charging of interest. Fractional reserve banking. Stuff like that. They don't know the answer, Gigabane. That's right. They don't know the answer, or they don't want to say the answer, because when you say the answer, people's heads explode. Oh, what do we do? How people need jobs? No, they don't. People don't need jobs. People need food. If you can grow your own food, you don't need a job. Simple. Simps. Anyways. And if you had a government that actually, was helpful and did things for people, and they can actually be that kind of a government. You could just provide, internet as a service. You could shore up what people can't grow. You could provide things that people, might need. Government provides, fire engines and firefighters. That's free. Here you go. House on fire? Here. Got some guys that'll come over and, you could do that with anything, right? That's totally socialism. Firefighters are totally socialism. Absolute socialism. But people want to run around acting like it's the worst thing ever. No, not really. It's privatizing it that's the worst thing ever. It's deregulating everything and letting these, mega corps take over, trying to provide you with food. That's when things get real bad. Don't you all understand that? Anyways. Israel is still intensely bombing Rafah right now, targeting residential homes and killing civilians. Bodies of children are being found under the rubble. Read that again. Israel is not defending itself. Israel is committing genocide. Obsolete Optics says socialism is the fire department putting out the fire on your house, while capitalism is the insurance company denying your claim. Basically. This is a great little video here. The students don't know what they're talking about. Because, you got to smear people in all the possible ways, right? Right? When somebody holds a view that challenges the political narrative, you got to call them all the names in the book. And one of those names is stupid. Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Do you have a degree? Shut up. What are you, a professor? Somebody suggested to somebody that they watch my channel. I think it was Steph on Twitter the other day. And the dude came back with is this guy a climate scientist? I was like, dude, educated people can be so stupid sometimes. I don't know that dude was educated, but I mean, that was just stupid. Does this guy have a degree? It's the only way I'll listen to somebody is if they have a degree and are willing to repeat propaganda at a drop of a hat. Anyways, the students don't know what they're talking about. Let's listen to this. The student who is struggling to define terms and elucidate what she's talking about. Here
Demands broadly start with disclosure and divestment. As of right now, students do not have access to where their money is going when they pay tuition fees to this university. So crucially, our first demand is full disclosure of financial investments.
crucially about Israel, right?
Well, we want to know where all of the money is going. We think that that's key for students to know where their money is going, whether it's about Israel or not. But then, with this knowledge, we would like to pursue full divestment from two things. First, from all arms manufacturing companies. Whether it's the current genocide in Gaza or other armed conflict around the world, our university should not be investing in that. This is a situation where we should be learning and contributing to education and a safe community, not to international conflict. And secondly, we request and demand that the university divest from all holdings in any entities that sponsor or are complicit in Israeli occupation, apartheid, and the current genocide in Gaza. Additionally, we have boycott demands, key of which is the demand to stop banking with Barclays, which the university currently does. Barclays has been complicit in the architecture of Israeli apartheid, and so that's a key demand from the boycott, divestment, and sanctions global movement. And our last demand is that the university commits to a Palestinian-led rebuilding of the Gazan higher education sector.
Okay. So how much link up have you had with the movement in the United States and with other student protests in the UK?
Yeah, so crucially, I mean, the US movement set off a global chain of reaction, and we're so excited to be a part of that and thankful to the US encampments for what they began. We've had a lot of support from them in terms of logistics, general comradeship, giving us tips and tricks. But really, the UK movement has also learned a lot from them in terms of how our goals are so similar. Although the US and the UK have different contexts, the UK government is similarly complicit in Israeli war crimes, and so too are our institutions of higher education. So we learned a lot from them in terms of our demands, how to engage with our governments, and how to mobilize students. In the UK, we also have really collaborated with other universities. Oxford is so proud to be launching in tandem with Cambridge. This is the first time in social movement history that Oxford and Cambridge have launched a campaign on the same day.
Okay, well, sounds like she's knows what she's talking about. She sounds pretty well versed. Yes, Steph C. That guy was a verified troll. I knew he was a verified troll because he had a Ukraine flag in his bio. That was the first tip off. All right, guys. Real quick, if you enjoy this channel, if you enjoy watching this content, comes to you for free every day, Monday through Friday. Please consider supporting the channel financially, and I could really use your support in that way. If you would like to, there are a bunch of links in the description box. You know, the usual: PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, Coffees, Patreon, etc., etc. And a bunch of you already support the show in all the ways, and I thank you and I appreciate you. All right. Oh, we got a couple more minutes, Gregory, unless you gotta go. Unless you're just saying until next time, but got a few more things to cover here. Let's see. Just looking at some comments. They almost banned BDS? Really? Did they almost ban BDS? I thought BDS was still Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, sorry. I'm confused. Yes. You're right. Yeah, and they made a lot of people sign. I mean, there was like wild stuff, like teachers in Texas having to sign, contracts with clauses that said that they would never support BDS or anything like that. Yeah. 37 states did ban BDS. Yeah. I mean, and that's wild. That is just really quite out of control. anyways, in more wild and woolly happenings, oh no, this is not it. Where is it? It's somewhere here. Here we go. Got a couple more things to talk about before we get out of here. This is effing insane. The United States letter to the ICC Office of the Prosecutor, basically threatening not only the prosecutor, but the prosecutor's family if they issue arrest warrants for Israeli war crimes like an old mafia organization. The U.S. is the great monster of our age. So I guess I'm assuming this is true and real. This is to Mr. Kareem Khan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to get to the end. It says, finally, neither Israel nor the United States are members of the ICC and are therefore outside of your organization's supposed jurisdiction. If you issue a warrant for the arrest of the Israeli leadership, we will interpret this not only as a threat to Israel's sovereignty, but to the sovereignty of the United States. You touch them, you're touching me. Let it be known. You lay a finger on them, you're touching me, pal. They really do sound like mafia people. If you threat to the sovereignty of the United States, our country demonstrated in the American Service Members Protection Act the lengths to which we will go to protect that sovereignty. Sounds serious. The United States will not tolerate politicized attacks by the ICC on our allies. Target Israel, and we will target you. If you move forward with the measures indicated in the report, we will move to end all American support for the ICC, sanction your employees and associates, and bar you and your families from the United States. You have been warned. This almost sounds like, I mean, it's what? Somebody says it must be fake. It can't be real. That's what I thought when I read this. I was like, really? It said signed by a bunch of war criminals, literal war criminals, no less. Tom Cotton, Ted Cruz, Rick Scott, Tim Scott, Marco Rubio, Bill Haggerty, etc. It's Mitch McConnell, Martha Blackburn. I mean, when I first saw this, I was like, this is so wild. It could be like somebody made it up. But he goes on to say the ICC themselves said that they were being threatened. The ICC releases a statement about threats of retaliation that seek to undermine the court, insisting all attempts to impede, intimidate, and influence its officials cease immediately. The U.S. Israeli terrorists believe they are above the law. The ICC says otherwise. The independence and impartiality are, let me see. The independence and impartiality of the office are undermined when individuals threaten to retaliate against the court or against court personnel should the office, in fulfillment of its mandate, make decisions about investigations or casings falling within its jurisdiction. Such threats, even when not acted upon, may also constitute an offense against the administration of justice under Article 70 of the Rome Statute. That provision explicitly prohibits both retaliating against an official of the court on account of duties performed by that or another official, and impeding, intimidating, or corruptly influencing an official of the court for the purpose of forcing or persuading the official not to perform or to perform improperly his or her duties. The office insists that all attempts to impede, intimidate, or improperly influence its officials cease immediately. I don't know why they would say that randomly if they weren't being threatened. Tom Cotton-brained? Cotton-brain? Oh, Tom Cotton-brain. Yeah. Well, that's fun, isn't it? Steve Donziger posted this. Police arrests in the U.S. of students protesting Israel's mass killings in Gaza have surpassed 2,500. Protests continue at 75 universities, with some now canceling graduation ceremonies. Historic display of student power. And a hell yeah from someone who supports the students as well. Lastly, this is interesting. I don't know, random, somewhat, but interesting. FBI records of LP Guys, the grandfather of Jeff Bezos, who helped create DARPA, were destroyed according to newly obtained response to a FOIA request. Well, I didn't know this. It's very interesting, right? Jeff Bezos' grandfather helped to create DARPA. And now Jeff Bezos is king of the internet, right? It's basically one of the kings of the internet. So that's, DARPA created the interwebs. Anyways, they're just showing that I guess they were requesting materials on LP Guys, and they said, sorry, we lost those, or they're gone. He goes on to say has long been speculation that DARPA has been involved in the creation of many popular big tech companies, using frontmen for the illusion of a startup led by outsiders. Yeah. Response comes via a FOIA request made by blackvault.com. I guess he was also director of the Atomic Energy Commission. Then held the highest administrative position and helped to form ARPA, from which the ARPANET, which is the internet, evolved. Huh. Interesting. No? Anyways, that about does it for me, guys. Thank you all for hanging out. I do appreciate you. I'm going to make sure I didn't miss any donuts. I'm going to start calling donations donuts, okay? Y'all send me a donut if you're feeling it. I guess apparently I can't see. I love donuts, by the way, but I don't eat a lot of donuts because they're bad for you. But I like the other kind of donuts. All right, guys. Thank you for your eyes, ears, and your conscience. And thank you for the conversation. And we will see you tomorrow. Until next time, peace.